So this is Ryan Jacobson. He's with the RMLS, and he's going to tell us today some of the updates that are going on with the RMLS, as well as show us some of the basics and how to really navigate the RMLS so that you kind of understand what you're doing when you're inputting your listing and you're working with a buyer and other things you need to know. So thanks for being here, Ryan.
Thanks. Happy to be out here. So I'm going to be going over a lot of stuff today. Just showing you some of the new features we have, and I know most of you guys are fairly new, so I want to show you some of the basics of navigating the site and some of the more popular features that we have in RMLS and things like that. Feel free to guide me places. If you need help with something or have a question on something, I'd really like to get you help, working on it and stuff today. So feel free to ask questions and direct me towards what you need help with. I'm going to start with just the login screen because this has caused some confusion. There's two ways to log into RMLS right now. One is with a public ID, private ID, and one is with this new login screen. The reason for this, there's a little bit of method behind the madness of two logins, is we switched to a new login option last year. And it's like one umbrella program that manages your account with us, your dues, your central lock equipment, everything is all under one umbrella now. And with that came this new login screen. But the reason we haven't gotten rid of the old way yet is because we don't host the servers for this, another company does. We do host the servers for the other one. And so we need to make sure they are as stable as we are, which we're up 99.8% of the time. We have very little downtime. We don't want you guys to not be able to log in. And so until they can prove to us that it's up all the time, we're keeping the dual login for now. Yes?
One quick question up front. Am I going to have to get through that RMLS orientation we were talking about before I can get in and do the stuff you're going to show me here today?
No, as long as you have login credentials, you can get in and do anything we're going to show you today. So as long as you've set up with RMLS and gotten your account, you should be able to do anything I'm going to show you.
Oh, well, I haven't because of, anyway. Never mind.
You have to get signed up
Never
first,
mind. Got it.
Yes. So we'll show you how to do all this and everything, and then if you have questions, I'll show you where you can go for help as well. So eventually, once we're sure this is stable, which it's getting better and better, it looks like eventually it'll be sooner than later, we're going to cut this off. So what that means is if you haven't used this new login screen, you should. Go ahead and click that new login screen button, and eventually when you go to rmlsweb.com, our website, if you're going to land on the new login screen, you won't even see the page, you'll see this once we've cut off that other method. And this uses different credentials. It's not a public ID, private ID, it's your email address, and that's your billing email with RMLS, and then a password. So that's important too, because if you want to pay your dues online, you'll need to know these credentials to sign in. So if you don't know how to log in with this, we put the help desk number right here on purpose so that you can give them a call and they can help you get logged in right here. Our help desk is amazing. They're available Monday through Friday, well, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 7 p.m., 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Friday 8 to 5 and Saturday 10 to 2, so they can even help you over the weekend. And they have an emergency call system, so if you call after hours or on Sunday, someone will listen to your voicemail and call you back same day. So we can help you out, we can get you assistance. We also have a chat system right here that's manned Monday through Friday 8 to 5 that we do close down from noon to 1 to take a lunch break. And one of us trainers with RMLS is sitting in this chat ready to answer your questions too. Now we can't reset your password over this because we need to talk to you to validate who you are and everything, but we could at least know that you need help and give you a call. So we're happy to do stuff like that. So I would use the new login screen, at least get used to it, and now that I've told you to do that, I'm going to go use the old one. That's because my credentials aren't real, and so they don't actually work on that, because it's just a training login. Just a second here.
My credentials are just not working on here. Okay. I guess I'll go use the old one too.
That's fine.
I still use the old one.
Call the help desk if you need assistance. They can't. The new system is actually more secure as well. They can't see your password, but they can reset it for you. They just need to validate who you are. If my password's going to work, and the internet's going to keep up, there we go. Once you're logged in, you're going to get to our desktop page, which the internet's deciding if it wants to cooperate today. It's definitely thinking hard about it.
Oh geez, one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
You're at the 4800 Meadows.
I think it's auto-connected from last time I was here.
Yeah.
So. Yep.
Cool.
We'll give it a second to think. While that's loading, we might as well talk about some of the new stuff that's coming out that I can mention that we're working on. One of them is we are working on making our advanced search more mobile friendly, and you should see that by the year end. So if you want to do advanced search from your phone, right now you can do it, it's just not the most user friendly experience. We're completely redesigning our advanced search so that you can actually use it on mobile, it'll make sense and everything. So look for the more information on that by the end of the year. We always post on our desktop page, this is our main page, when we're going to be doing updates and stuff, so keep your eye out for that. Let me just try reloading this because I see you're in, so.
Yeah, I got in, but through the old way. For some reason, it won't accept my password. So.
It's not the same, is why. They're different passwords.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you don't know what that new login password is, like I said, call them, they can
Is it
reset it
because
for
they
you.
give you a password for the new login? Is that what they're doing? And you have to call them to get it?
Well,
first
no,
time?
they should have gotten it when you did your paperwork initially, but you have to change it the first time you use it too.
Oh.
So
I thought it was the old one that you had to change.
that's okay. We can
Confusing.
get you logged in. Just call in when you have time. It's not going to break anything. The only thing you can't do is pay your dues. So
Oh, that's not too bad.
okay, you have full access to the rest of the website. So as I said, we have this news section here, so as we get closer to that update with the new mobile-friendly advanced search, we'll be putting it up there, which will be good, so you'll know it's active and everything. Another really big change, this actually just got approved by the board like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago actually, and so we're really excited about it. The board has approved a coming soon status. So right now, if you have a listing and you want to delay or do some pre-marketing on it, you have to fill out an authorization to exclude addendum, get your seller to sign it, giving permission for you to not put it in the MLS within 72 hours of signature. It has to get sent into our rules department, and it's like this big, huge process. So the board has approved a coming soon status so that when you want to do some pre-marketing on a property or something, instead of making the listing active, because that means it's available to show, you'll be able to put it in as a coming soon listing. And it won't go out to any other websites. It won't go to Realtor.com or Zillow or anything. It's just going to stay only searchable in RMLS until you activate it, and then it will feed out everywhere. So only agents will know something is coming, but they can look for those properties that are coming soon. So we're going to see that probably by no later than spring next year, because there's a whole bunch of changes I have to make. We have to make rules changes to make that make sense with our rules, because right now that's not within our rules to be able to do a pocket listing or a coming soon type feature. So it's going to be a big change. We're going to have to change how, add a whole new status, and there's programming work and stuff like that. So we're talking spring probably at the earliest that we'd see that change. But I want to let you guys know what that is coming. So coming soon is coming soon. Coming soon is coming soon? Sure. So that's a really cool new feature that you'll see, and we'll have, once again, more information on that in the future here. One of the real big advantages to RMLS compared to other MLSs out in the country and stuff like that is that we have in-house programmers. A lot of MLSs use a canned product. It just does what it does. If you'd like to see it do something different, too bad. The program doesn't do that. With our in-house programmers, we make changes regularly. Tyler was mentioning that earlier. He says, you guys change things all the time, and that's one of the big benefits. If you guys see a feature somewhere else that, wow, if RMLS did this, this would make my job so much easier because I wouldn't have to go to this website, then this website, then this website. I could just do it all in RMLS. We love getting feedback like that, and there's an easy way to tell us about things you'd like to see. If you go to our toolkit menu and scroll down, you'll see questions and comments. It's getting blocked there by my pop-up, but questions and comments, you can click on that and it pops up a little thing. You can pick a subject. So if you have general feedback or some kind of change request, or you want the mapping to be different or something like that, just type us a quick note here. Every single one of these that we get goes before our enhancement committee. They meet once a month. They're made up of volunteer subscribers like yourself. They discuss each one of these that we receive at that meeting, and then any of the ones they think that's a really good suggestion, they will then send to the board to debate to see if they can make that happen. After the enhancement committee meets, what they do is they walk up to one of us trainers and hand us a sheet of all their responses and what they want to do, and then we'll email you and say, here's what the enhancement committee had to say about your suggestion. So you'll get direct feedback back from that committee and see what they've decided. Sometimes their answer is going to be awesome, we're going to make that happen. Other times it'll be, you know what, RPR already does that, and that's really the better service. That's where that should be, you know. So sometimes they'll recommend another service for you rather than spending programmer hours and stuff. It just depends on the suggestion. But 90% of the changes that we do make to RMLS come directly from a subscriber, one of you guys saying, hey, I'd like to see this. So please give us feedback. We love getting it. It's right there in the toolkit, questions, comments, and we can make things happen. There's another big change that's coming soon, and that's this one's probably going to be much later because it's a big project, but we're calling it the Mobile Innovation Project. And the listing load being used on your phone is kind of a part of that, where we're making RMLS more mobile friendly. But what it's going to do is you're going to be able to stand in front of a home, take a picture with your phone. When you take a picture with your phone, it actually tags that photo with the GPS location of where you're at. So you'll be able to then, from your phone, load that into RMLS, confirm the address, which it will read automatically because the photo tagged it. It will say, is this the right address? You'll say yes. And the next time you log into RMLS Web, there'll be an in-progress listing started at that address.
Nice.
So
When is that going to get available?
don't know yet. They're working on it. Next year probably. Early next year maybe.
Pretty cool.
It could be by end of this year, but I know it's a big project. It's taken them a long time.
And they're starting your first page of your CMA then.
Right? Yeah, it'll start an in-progress listing, so it's just ready to go.
Wow.
Next time you log into Listing Load, you'll see that listing started, and then you can go in and keep working on it. Just from taking a picture. So, pretty cool. Well, once again, more details will come once we have that. That's a big project. They've been working on that for over a year now. So, hopefully they're getting close to wrapping that up. The last progress report saw that they were on schedule for either late this year, early next year potentially, for a release date. So, we've been working on a lot of things, and we love getting feedback and stuff like that. We did make a lot of recent changes. One of the ones that we changed that I think it's been a really good just quality of life change is every single abbreviation and listing load when you're inputting a listing is now spelled out in plain English, where previously they were all abbreviated. So now when you're picking from a list of features, instead of trying to figure out what the abbreviation means, it's in plain English, which is great. So we're doing little quality of life things all the time too to make things easier for you guys. I'm going to show you some of those features today that we've added in the last year or so and how they all work. First things, I know some of you are fairly new, so I wanted to go over some of the basics of just navigating through RMLS Web. As I mentioned, the help desk is available to help. On our desktop page here, you'll always see this need help section that has the help desk hours, their phone number, and then they have a toll-free number as well. So you can contact the help desk. Just so you know, the help desk, they're just incredible individuals. Serena's been with RMLS for 17 years. Joanne's been with us for 14 or 15 years maybe now. And David replaced me 2 years ago in the help desk, and they know their stuff. So you're gonna get great help. Their hold times are usually less than a minute, and they can help you with a password. They can help you with doing a search and you can't find that one piece of criteria that your client really wants, they can help you do that. If you're doing your first CMA and you have questions, they can help you with that. Their number one call they get is about listing load, because people are putting in their listing for the first time and they're nervous about it. They want to make sure they get everything correct, so they call the help desk, and that's fantastic. We want you guys to call us to get help. Even if you're having trouble accessing RMLS, and it's not our fault, like maybe you're getting pop-ups or your computer's got a virus or something, call our help desk. Believe it or not, they'll help you with that stuff too. They have a program that can remote into your computer with your permission, and they can move your mouse around and do really fancy things to try to make it work. I've personally run virus scans on several people's computers remotely just so that I can get them to access RMLS Web. Even though that's not our fault that you have a virus, if you can't access RMLS Web and do your job, we want to help you so that you can. So please contact us. We're always happy to help. And then I mentioned there's that chat right up here that's staffed by a trainer like myself, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you can contact us and just type a quick question. We'll type you a quick answer, and then you can get on your way. So lots of options for help. Another option for help is almost every single page in RMLS has one of these. Go away, Papa. I don't care about OneNote. This blue help link. You'll see this on almost every single page in RMLS. So if you go up and you click that help button, there's typically a video tutorial and sometimes supporting documents that show you how to use the page you're on. So I'm on the desktop page, so it's a video about how to navigate RMLS Web. But let's say you are doing a CMA and you go Toolkit CMA profiles, like you're going to work on a CMA. Well, there's a help video right there in the CMA page, if it'll load for me. Lightning fast internet today. There we go. So right up there at the top, CMA profiles is a help button. Click that help button. There's a video tutorial for how to create a CMA using our system. Almost every single page in RMLS Web has one of those video tutorials. So if you just need a quick refresher, you don't have time to call in or to type a long chat and figuring out how to do it, watch a little video. We have those throughout the website. So lots of help, lots of good things out there for you guys. Another enhancement we did recently is this menu bar up here. We made it a little bit bigger, and the reason we did that is because it's now touchscreen friendly. So I have a touchscreen laptop and I can just tap on these menus and they open. That should work really well on mobile as well. So that was actually a fairly recent change that we did late, or I think it was early this year or late last year. So you can navigate through. Otherwise, you can still use your mouse. You just need to hover over these. That's one thing I like to point out. You don't need to click. If you click, it closes, in fact. So I have people go search, 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 and then they get frustrated. Hover, don't click, then you can navigate through as you want. And there's lots of different menus. We have lots of different tools and things like that. And we're going to go through a few of those. Notice also this sidebar over here on the left, and it has like tabs in it that you can do different things. This is collapsed by default, so if you've never opened that, you can click the little plus to open the sidebar over here. That's on our desktop page. And there's some good things in here, like a quick search where you can type in an address or an MLS number and find it. Tells you if any of your profiles for your prospecting have new matches or your hot sheets. We can talk about both of those today. Shows if you have any inventory expiring in the next week or 2 weeks and how many active and pending listings you have. There's a tab for taking notes, so if you just need to jot down somebody's phone number because you're on the phone with them or something, boom. You can do that right there, or write an MLS number down really quick. And the links section takes you to different parts of the website, and you can even add some custom links if you want to other websites. So if you always go from RMLS to some other website, like your own or something, you can create a link there that takes you right to that page.
How long do those notes stay in there? Just
Forever, until you clear them out.
Okay.
Yep, they'll never delete.
Thanks.
Yep. You can see this one has a 16 MLS number, so I put that in 2016 and I never erased it and it's still there. So I could just erase that 123, hit save, and it's gone. Okay, so it's just a little scratch pad for you to jot down some notes if you have to. And if this gets in your way, this sidebar, just hit the little minus and it collapses and goes away again. So I can make it easier to see things sometimes. Wanted to point out the subscriber account information button right here. This is how you pay your dues online. If you click that button, it will make you sign in the new way unless you already did. And then you can go in and pay your invoice and do everything like that. You can change your contact details with RMLS and things like that as well. So that's what that link does over on the left, subscriber account information. And now a little more things about our desktop page. The inventory today section is going to show you how much inventory we currently have. So we have 22,235 active listings in RMLS. That's all of Oregon, Southwest Washington. And then that's worth $10 billion of inventory. So if you added up all their list prices, that's $10 billion. That's not just us bragging. Look how many listings we have. If you pay attention to where that is now, you're going to be able to, at a glance at our desktop, know if inventory is high or low. Because there's 22,000 active listings, $10 billion of inventory. When I started with RMLS back in 2014, that was at $10.8 billion of inventory. It got as low as like 8.6 about a year ago, and now it's back up to just over 10 billion. So I can tell you inventory is lower than it was in 2014, just because I remember what it was in 2014. Something else to note, there's 22,000 active listings. We have 14,000 about active RMLS subscribers, realtor subscribers. So there's less than 2 listings per agent right now. Inventory's low. So you can know that just by looking at the front page there. We also tell you how many we've sold in the last 12 months and how much they're worth. And we have 1.8 million listings in our system. That includes everything that's ever sold. every listing we've ever had in our system. So lots of good information there. And we even provide links over here to other parts of RMLS and other websites as well. So you can see our blog, our Twitter, our Facebook. You can look at our full rules documentation. Another really important one that a lot of people forget about is this latest market action report. This is a monthly report that we put out that shows how we did last month. And you can go see what inventory is at, how many sales there were, how many properties have sold, all that type of information, what the average price is for your area. Lots of good information in that market action report. So you can just click that link for latest market action. It will always take you to the newest month we have. We publish this by the 15th of each month. So we have August numbers, but we're not going to have September's numbers until about October 15th. And then we'll publish that.
This is where you get the total percentage that the market has increased over the year too?
Yeah, you absolutely can. So I'm going to there's a list of counties. Portland Metro is all together in one report. So I'm just going to click on Portland Metro. And I can see we have 2 months of inventory. And the average sales prices increased 9.6% over the last 12 months. And the median prices increased 11.2% over the last 12 months. And it even tells me those numbers. The average price is currently $418. The median is $369.
Cool.
Right? And this is for all of Portland Metro, huge area. But you can scroll down and just look how the area numbers have done. So if you need to compare how Lake Oswego is done, for example, or West Linn, you can see that. They had 482 active listings last month. New listings was 252, 148 went pending, 163 closed. The average sales price last month was $713,000 in Lake Oswego. That's high. 38 days on market on average, compared to like Oregon City's only 24 days on market. But West Portland's even higher, 45 days on market.
I just find North Portland, it's interesting.
It is.
Northeast. Don't you find that sort of like...
Yeah.
Oh.
Things are selling fast. In fact, one of the most interesting metrics I like to look at is right here, the average sales price percent change in the last 12 months. That's the same thing you were looking for above. So 9% increase in North Portland, Northeast up 11%, Milwaukee's up 12%. West Portland's only up 6.7 though. Tigard's only up 5.9 over the last 12 months. So some areas are like prices skyrocketing, others are increasing but not nearly as fast.
Yeah.
So you can kind of compare areas here too. This is also useful too. You got a client who says, yeah, we want to live in Beaverton, or we want to live in Tigard, let's say, and we want something for $350,000. Well, in Tigard, the average price, average sales price, or median sales price was $415, and the average was $431. You're not going to find something for $350 that's a median type house. It's going to be a fixer or something like that, right? So then you can be more realistic with them and say, you know, Beaverton or Loa you can afford, but Tigard's a little bit out of your price range at $350.
So does the Milwaukee Clackamas include Estacada and
Yes.
Sandy? That's not good.
Those area numbers are really big. So the Clackamas one, or Oregon City Canby, that includes all the way down to Malala.
So why are we including areas that sort of are on the outskirts? They're not really part
Some
of
of the
suburban
area numbers are just bigger. And there's an area map that you can look at. In fact, it's in that sidebar. You can go here and you can go to links and you can see the map areas.
So is that one of the things they're planning on changing? Because
The area numbers have been established for years,
I
and I
mean,
don't think they're changing.
they're
So
not
this
gonna-
is that Oregon City Canby area, and it does go all the way to
Oh
Malala.
my gosh.
and so that's sort
Other
of
ones are
just
smaller.
doesn't give you a really proper perspective or
Correct.
of actually what's going on there.
Right. This is a base report.
Yeah.
There are statistical modules you can do to get way more specific on your area, though. And where you find those is under the statistics menu up here. And you'll see market trends and market stats. Market trends is going to show you pick from today how far back you want to go, and it shows you graphs and things that say how it's been trending. And market stats, you can go see stuff that's like on that market action report, like price percent change. You can even see things like list price compared to final list price, or sold price compared to final list price, and sold price compared to original list price,
Yeah.
and see if things are selling for that.
Okay.
And you can get as small of an area as elementary school. So you can really see the neighborhood or
Oh,
anything
nice.
within that elementary
And
school
that's
boundaries.
Market.
Either of those, market trends or market stats.
Okay.
Market trends is graphs. It's going to say
Okay.
starting today, how far back, and it shows the up and down of each season and how it's been going.
Okay.
Market stats is just the raw data kind of deal.
So would that include something like a zip code? You could.
Yeah, zip code.
Identify
You can do
specific
zip code
zip
and city and elementary school, and then you're really small area. So then you're not just looking, like you said, the Clackamas area is huge. So if I go to market stats, for example, and I want to do a comparable report, I'm going to clear this. You can see comparable summary. I'm looking at solds, and then instead of picking just a whole area, because I can pick that same one, the Clackamas, just for an example, the Oregon City, Canby, Molalla, and then I can say, but I want only
Oh, so
a
you
certain
get,
city in there.
so you can get more granular. Then,
Yes,
it
and then I
fits-
can put a zip code, and then I
Okay.
could even put, like I said, an elementary school,
Yeah.
and that's like neighborhood level. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking a very small area if you do
Yeah,
that.
so to get average sale price, how many
Tons of stuff
inventory
here.
and all
I'll
that.
show you real quick. You can even pick property types. I only want detached homes that have 3 bedrooms, for example,
Right.
and I want to get some statistics on those that are in Oregon City. And now I'm just looking in the city boundaries of Oregon City, and I can pull that up, and it's giving me some stats here, and then all the raw data. Financing types, so I can see most of them were conventional, and you can even pick what times of year, the last 3 months, the last year, the last 2 years, anything you want to do, and look up that data. I think this is this entire year, that's why there's so many.
Wow.
So there's these statistical reports. They're a little like, you got to play with your criteria a lot and make sure you're putting in exactly what you want. But if our blanket ones are too broad, that's what this is for.
Okay.
You can even in here go and see things like, let me go revise the search. You can look at things that sold in a certain date range. You can go and look at things like just like your home, or you can even go and look at your own sales. Then you can get your statistics and then compare that to the average for that area.
Cool.
And then you can take that to a listing presentation and go, my average days on market is 35 days. In this area, most agents, their average days on market is 60 days. So signing with me means you're going to get it sold faster because I'm faster than the normal agent with my listings. So you can go run your own statistics there too, or your office's statistics. So there's kind of complex modules. Once again, if you need help with them, there's a little help button to show you how to use that a little bit. And we do a statistics class too. It's 1 hour, and it shows you more how to use these modules. So market stats is that raw data. I just want to show you market trends as well. Similar idea. You put in an area number. So I'm going to go in and pick that same one just to be consistent. You can pick a city if you want to. So I'm going to pick Oregon City again. You can pick any statistics about the homes. I'm going to do just 3 bedrooms again. I'm going to do all year built descriptions. And I'm going to go 12 months back and run a search. And here's how 3 bedrooms have done for the last 12 months in Oregon City. And I can see how the inventory has been fluctuating. I can see how the average price has been increasing or decreasing. I can see the price change compared to the same month of the previous year. Average days on market. Cumulative days on market, and then raw statistics about how many homes there were each month, what they sold for. You can go get tons of these very specific statistics for your clients. So I think those are underused a lot.
Yeah,
And you can even make PDFs of these, include them on a CMA.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah, really good reports.
I was going to ask about the CMA, but you just answered it.
Yeah, you could. This doesn't automatically include in the CMA, but I think it's a great thing to add on to your
Right.
CMA.
Right.
So here's the comparables I chose and what I'm recommending for pricing, and here's a bunch of statistics that back that up, saying that your type of home in this area should sell for exactly what I'm saying. And it can help you instead of just picking your comparables. You've got this market data to back it up too.
So when we use CMA Cloud for doing our CMAs,
Cloud CMA? Mm-hmm.
yeah, Cloud CMA, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
and it's not going to have this information, and so we're going to have to come into here actually if we want to get more specific information about the area,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I use a program called Altos Research, and the title company's provided too. I got my own account, but they can provide a lot of in-depth data too that you can provide to clients and all that. I'm not sure.
Some of them have really good apps as well, and you can just do it on your phone or tablet and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. And then for CMAs, what I do is I get the I do my CMA within the RMLS, take those numbers, those MLS numbers, and then input it into Cloud CMA. So I have the custom.
We even have an export to Cloud CMA button right within your search results. So if you go and do like one of our searches, like I'll just do a quick search really fast here. And you run a search and you choose a few comparables that you like. I'm just going to pick a bunch of properties. So you're looking at these search results and you like these ones as comparables, right? Well, there is one of our reports is export to Cloud CMA right there. Hit go, and it will take you to Cloud CMA and send those listings over to your Cloud CMA account.
Okay, so that's just beyond what Cloud CMA will do when they pull in stuff.
Right. You can go look and do more research on those properties and then send them right to your CMA that you've already built, or build a new one right there in Cloud CMA.
Yeah, you're always better off getting using the MLS to search for the properties instead of getting using Cloud CMA where it just brings in listings automatically.
Yeah, Cloud CMA does they're really known for their quick and dirty CMA. Is that you don't even pick the comparables, you just put in the address, it does a quick CMA and grabs a bunch of comparables.
It's select the ones that are not relevant.
It's kind of built to be, Cloud CMA is built to almost be a marketing tool where you pick a property, put in the address, it does the CMA for you, you send it out, and then they go, wow, that's interesting, I want more information, and they contact you.
Are you saying that besides what we do with Cloud CMA, is that we should do both? We should sort of do a CMA on the RMLS and then a CMA in Cloud, and just do comparison?
I would say you can use RMLS maybe to dig deeper into the comparables and maybe find the best ones, because we're going to have more listing data and stuff like that than what they have.
That's what I do, because then the MLS you can go through and see all the pictures too. You really want to.
You can go to the history and see, has it ever been distressed, or you can look at all that type of information.
Can be weird.
Cloud CMA is just gonna find like homes in the area, based on bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and then.
I've even seen it grab like townhouses, and yours is not a townhouse and stuff like that.
You just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll bring whatever's in, and you just have to say, I don't want that one, that one, that one.
Yeah. I would say you can use RMLS to go grab a few that you've researched and said, these are great comparables, and I don't want to have to go find them in Cloud CMA 2 since I've already found them in RMLS, so I'm just going to export them straight into Cloud CMA.
So how does it come into, you probably don't know how it comes into Cloud CMA, so it just comes as just another list, and then you have to just select to add it to a profile?
I believe it just exports them straight into the Cloud CMA.
It's just taking the MLS numbers, and then it has access to all the data, so it's just kind of auto-populating into their system.
It fills it into your,
Okay.
Yep. And we partner with them to make that a reality. That's why we have a button for it and stuff. And so we know a lot of agents use it, and so we wanted to make sure that it's easy to do deeper research here and then just send them there instead of having to jot them all down and then go look for them in their product, which can be a little difficult sometimes.
The top agents are just grabbing the MLS numbers, or I didn't even know you could extract it straight to Cloud CMA, but they're taking the top. They're using the MLS for all the best properties they want to use, and then they're taking those MLS numbers and just inputting them into Cloud CMA. That way they have the branding aspect of it.
Yeah, now there's an export. They can just do it right from the search results. They don't have to write them all down.
So you're saying the best methodology to do this is to start in the RMLS, export the properties that you want, and then you just pick them up and then enhance or do your adjustments in the Cloud CMA.
Yeah. In terms of coming up with price, you can do your adjustments in Cloud and RMLS.
And you can even from here, so you've got the option to export into Cloud CMA down here, or you can start a new CMA right here from RMLS and do it in our system too. It really just depends on what you want to use, but you're paying for Cloud CMA, so you may want to use their product.
Well, they just have their templates are a little nicer. That's all.
Yeah, they have nice looking reports as well and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just an alternate service. Another big popular option for CMAs is RPR, which is Realtors Property Resource. That's developed by the National Association of Realtors, and we link right to that in RMLS as well. In fact, every single listing has a link to RPR right on it. And they have MLS data and public record data. So you can see things like mortgage records, refinances, things that you wouldn't see because it never hit the MLS, interfamily transfers. Along with it has all of our data. You can see private remarks and showing instructions, and they have a CMA too. So there's tools. It really just depends on which tools work best for
That
you.
one I use all the time.
You like RPR?
Yeah.
I do too.
So and on the RPR, you can just do one entry at a time. It looks like.
Well, they don't have a. We don't export them to their CMA. You have to do their CMA in their service completely. Yeah, there's no way to bring in stuff. But they
That's
get our
pretty
data
easy to
every
do.
15 minutes, so it's up to date listing data in their system as well.
Okay, and that's a free service.
Yep. Well, you're already paying for it. It's part of your realtor dues.
Oh, really?
Yep. So you just need to create your RPR account. You can just go Toolkit RPR if you want to, right here.
So remember when you joined PMAR, you remember the Oregon Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors, so you have all the services that the NAR
Yeah, and NAR. This is their product.
Okay.
This is their
Well, I've been
product
on
too.
I've done a CMA on RMLS several times, practice, and I then did several on the
Cloud CMA.
Cloud CMA. Now I need to do.
Try RPR.
It's
and
just
I
gonna
would
get the
not.
flavor of all of them.
I would find one you like and stick with it. There's no reason to be
Really?
used in all three all the time. They each have their own advantages. I'd say our report is simple and basic, and it's got the listing facts, and that's fine. Our RPR is going to include public record data that's not in RMLS. It's going to include way more activity as far as previous mortgage records and tax assessments on the property.
liens.
And property liens, it shows all that type of stuff. You can see when loans were taken out, document numbers. You can see tons more data. But their report, so their default CMA on RPR, if you don't make any changes to it, is 75 pages long. Like,
Whoa.
it's insanity. So you need to go in and customize it to work for you and stuff. You can remove pages, take parts off that you don't want,
So
and
it's
things
just,
like that.
it depends upon your situation. So if you
Yeah.
so if you're doing an open house, then you're going to want a different kind of report. If you're doing like a,
Right.
action analysis that you're providing to your buyers, you want to do a different kind of report.
Right.
If you want to you're doing to your sellers,
And it depends on the type of client. You get the client who's just kind of like, whatever, I'm going to go with whatever you say. Our report might be enough for them because it's just the listing facts, and that's good. But you get that type A client who wants to know every little piece of information about this property ever. The RPR report's more robust, so showing them that's going to give them more information for that person who just needs to know that you know your stuff and that you're doing your due diligence
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
where you're working with a lot of engineers.
Yeah. And that type of person is going to be very impressed when you drop a 75-page report on their desk that has every statistic they could ever want. But not every client. You're going to overwhelm way too many clients by a 75-page report.
For every listing that I did, I'm sure you'll talk about this, but you can actually set it up so they get weekly market reports on that listing in that geographical area. So that's something really cool, so they can know what's going on with the market each and every week. Their house is on the market, so it's really easy to set up.
There's some really cool reports you can run. You can even, on their listing, once it's active, you can send them a daily run-up of how many times it was viewed, so they know if there's eyes getting on their report or on their property and stuff like that, and I can show you that as well. There's some really cool tools that you have access to. And they're underused. I mean, in the toolkit here, we link to so many other things. Another really popular one is Find. Find is the agent version of Realtor.com, because Realtor.com is really a public database, and we send all listing data to Realtor.com every 15 minutes. So they have up-to-date listing data. If you don't have an app or a website that you're sending your clients to search, you might have one that Suma has you send people to, but we send all listing data to Realtor.com within 15 minutes of it being published. They're the only website besides our own where we send data to. All other websites request data from us at their own intervals, and they're paying an IDX provider for
you're
that.
pushing the data out to them where the rest of them
Are pulling,
fetching
correct.
it.
Now, like Redfin is pulling every 15 minutes too, because they're paying to do that and they want to do that. So, but if you don't want to send them to a competitor's app, our Realtor.com app is fantastic, and it's got all of our data within 15 minutes. So if your client's like, what app should I use to search, and you don't have a good suggestion, Realtor.com is really great.
That's what I use.
Yeah. Find is, like I said, the agent side of Realtor.com, and the real benefit to Find is that you can actually search anywhere, coast to coast. Now, you're not going to see things like private remarks and showing instructions and things like that, but they have 105 million properties in their database. It is a coast-to-coast database.
Realtor.com is just national
Yeah,
or international?
it's national. Yeah, it's Realtor.com. It's owned by Move Inc. And we
Wow,
partner
look
with
what
them.
you
We
can get
spend
in
all day there.
Casper, Wyoming for
Yep.
200,000 these days.
I know, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2600. That's more than double the size of my house, and I paid about the same. So, yeah, yep. So, you can actually go in here. What they're really known for, what Find is known for, is their search up here, because you can search in plain English. You don't have to type in 3-bed and like click it from a list or something. You can actually say 3-bedroom homes in Miami with a pool, plain English, and it will go through that detail and go, okay, Miami, pool, single family home, Florida, boom.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Plain English search, and
Wow.
so if you have a client moving out of an area into Portland and they want to know what's your market like in compared to there, go look at some active listings there and see what it looks like,
So what do I
or vice
see?
versa.
What do I see differently here than what somebody that's just out there hitting Realtor.com? What do I see? What do I get more?
You get some reports that you can create and send to your client, and they can be branded to you and things like that. You can follow a property and be notified of changes to it and things like that. They have little quick reports that you could run. And they even have like demographic data. So if I click on this home in Miami here, it'll pop up, and I can look at community info for this property, and it's going to tell me like the average market price in that area, how many own versus rent, the occupations of people, how many have graduated college. There's demographic data here, history of the photos and stuff like that from previous times it was listed. There's a photo archive also that shows here's the current listing and here's some older photos. This one doesn't have that, but it kind of public record data as well.
You can see the owner too.
I mean, it has some basic information as far as that. I don't know. Does this show?
Property owner. It just has the address there. I think.
Yeah.
Or,
It's
no.
Deutsche Bank.
Oh no, it's the bank.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
a bank owned. So I just picked that
That's
first
nice.
property
Wow, that's
there.
crazy, and this is nationwide. huh?
Nationwide, you're not seeing like MLS data. It's mostly public because you're not a member of that MLS out there. But this is a coast-to-coast database. Like I said, if you got a client moving out of town and they just want your help on looking up some properties, cool. I've got a nationwide database I can access called Find. I can look for what you want.
So that's fine.
Find right in our toolkit, and we also, right on the search results, see the little house right there. Every single property has this little house right here.
Oh, and
That's Find.
that's fine.
Yep, so we have a link to RPR and we have a link to Find on every single listing, and that will take you right to that property and Find, and you can go look up that demographic data and
So I
stuff
was
like
trying to
that.
figure out what those little symbols all meant.
Yep. Those symbols are important. There's lots of really important
What does
ones
that
there.
mean?
But yeah, I can jump in and now I can look at this one in Vancouver, Washington and see all its information.
Wow,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
And you said
Here, this one's been listed several times. Here's how it looked in 2016. Here's
Oh,
how it looks
gosh.
now. It's been through a remodel, you can tell.
Yeah.
Because here's how it looked in October last year. Looked beautiful, right? And here's how it looks now. I think they've
Yeah.
redone some
Whoa.
things.
Whoa.
wow, look at the
Yeah.
lighting. in
Being
there.
able to access that stuff, those older
Man.
photos and things like that,
Yes.
show them there's been a remodel in the last year. Here's how it used to look. Here's how it look. They're going to be very impressed by that and see
Yeah.
like, things like that. So there's some cool tools here.
Walk around with your iPad and access the stuff.
Find is eventually going to have an app. They've told us
So
too.
what
They
are
don't
those
right yet.
other symbols? I don't mean to get you off.
No,
but now
I
that
want to
you're
show you those. So
talking
we've got
about it, I'm
RPR
like-
and Find, and that will take you to this property on either of them. So if you
Okay.
want to do more research on RPR, you can click that button. If you want to do more research on Find, you can do it there. The R is a radius search. That will drop a pin on this property's address, and you pick how far around it you want to search for. So that's a great way to start looking for comparables. If you're about to look to list a property that's been marketed before, it's been on the market, pull up the previous listing and click the R, and you can do a radius search for nearby properties that have similar features.
And then as soon as you click it, will it list them here in the active area?
So you just click the little R, it'll drop a pin on that property. This is a
Oh.
Vancouver property. You pick how far around it you want to search. It even grabs the basic 3-bed, 2-bath on 0.23 acres. I'm probably going to make these ranges because I don't want to do that. And I can start searching, and here's a bunch of comparables near that home. I only got 2, but I wasn't trying very hard, and I was only looking at actives apparently. So you want to change your criteria. I didn't do that.
That's okay.
But yeah.
That's all right. We got it.
So you can do a quick radius search from there. Let me go back to the previous search. The T is the tax report, so that will take you to the tax record of the property. You can look at the public record data, legal description, owner information.
Okay.
And then the H is the history of the listing. and that's going to show you everything that's happened with this listing as far as we have records going back, which in Portland Metro goes back to almost 1991. You can get a lot of data going back. These are all abbreviated, so you'll see XDC, DAT, new, CAN. So if you need to know what all these mean, just go up to the top and click the help link. There's a property history report that you can click on, and it spells out all those abbreviations for you. So that XDC was an expiration date change. They extended their contract.
So
You'll see
CAN doesn't mean Canada.
it means canceled. So they fired their agent, canceled. DAT you're going to see a lot of. That's any miscellaneous data change to the listing. So if we look at this, it's always got the newest stuff first, and then as you go down, there's the oldest stuff. So the first record of this property was newly listed for $252,000 September of last year. There was a data change, it went pending, and it sold for $242,000, so $10,000 under asking price. It sold to someone who was not an RMLS subscriber, brought the buyer. So either they weren't with RMLS because they're from out of the area or something like that, but non-RMLS subscriber. So they bought it in October. Then in April the following year, they relisted it for $330,000. There were a few data changes, and they fired their agent 20 days after listing. Well, they canceled it, but look, that same agent relisted it the same day for $10,000 less, canceled it again, and then relisted it. Still the same agent. So this agent probably should have just done price changes, but instead kept canceling the listing and relisting
that
it.
looks weird.
My guess is she was thinking, oh, I'll get my days on market lower.
Right.
It doesn't work that way. Nope, because you can see it still calculates the full
It's not
cumulative
showing
days
up as
on
a new.
market.
Well,
You can't hide
it
any
shows
of
the
that.
new
It
list.
says new, but you can see it's the same agent, and this does not break. See?
Okay, yeah.
It continues to count as
Days
market
on
time.
market.
She doesn't understand that she's
Okay.
not getting any advantage of doing that. He or she.
Yeah.
Do a lot of
Right.
people do that? They just think they're like, oh, I'm gonna relist it.
Work in
and
the system.
And
Some people think that works, and it does not. Yes. So it got relisted again, 522 with another price change, 314.9. It expired, and then the same day they relisted it again, canceled it again to make another price change, canceled it again. This time made another price change, so now it's down to 300,000. And then it expired in September 12th of this year. So this agent has had this listing since April, and then in September
Switched
it
over.
expired, and they hired a different agent.
so how do
Who
you know
listed?
this?
If I see
it
that-
has all
Wow.
different numbers over here to the left, but up on above, can you scroll up? Just
Yes, sorry, there. It does show what each column
Oh,
is.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
there is a description of what that is.
Wow.
So then it got newly listed now by this new agent. They've made several data changes. That's just a miscellaneous change. They could have changed the comments or added dimensions to a bedroom. It's never anything impactful.
Yeah.
But it's been now on the market since the 20th, so today's the 29th. And it looks like they made 2 changes
And
today.
it still hasn't sold.
Still hasn't
I
sold,
don't want anything to do with that seller when I'm seeing that.
right?
Whether it's putting an offer or working with them as an agent. No.
Well, they find it at least when the listing expired didn't let this person extend it, so.
So this
Yeah.
is the history of
This
everything.
property, as far as
Okay.
every record we have of it in our system.
If there were offers made during this period, would those show up?
If they were accepted, it would show as pending, yes.
Okay, so we don't know if any offers. that
There were
weren't
no
accepted
accepted
Yeah.
offers
Okay,
in this
got it.
time period, otherwise it would have gone pending.
Okay.
Yep. So this one has a fun history. Sometimes they're boring because it's like new construction, so it's going to be like one thing, and you're like, okay, well that's not exciting. Other times you're going to see data going all the way back. This one goes all the way back to 1998. And back then the history gets a little mixed, so it's actually newly activated. The oldest date is here,
This is
February
interesting.
2001. It went pending, so it was on the market from February to September. It went pending, and it sold for about $5,000 less than they wanted it in September. Got newly activated in 2001. Got withdrawn, which means it wasn't being marketed, and then expired. And then the following year, they hired a different agent to list it for $163, so higher than it was before. Went pending and sold for $150. This is the agent who brought the buyer. And now here, 14 years later, it's being relisted for $310. They made a few data changes. They actually remapped it in a different area because they must have done it wrong. It went pending, didn't go through because it came back on market, and has now had 2 more data changes. So this one did have an accepted offer, but it didn't close.
Right.
Yeah, always make sure before you're gonna put an offer in, if you're gonna work with the seller, to check out the history first, and because you can really find usually some red flags that are with the property, and
It can tell you a lot more than you think.
and you can kind of tell the story to your client too, what's going on with this property as well.
And I've even seen times where you'll see, so this anytime you see a sold line, the agent ID is going to be the buyer's agent. And you'll see times where it didn't happen in this case, but where someone helps them buy it, and then 10 or 12 years later they use the same agent to relist it. I've seen that happen before, so that's always fun to see a success story like that. This agent helped a buyer, and then 10 years later got a listing from them of that same property. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So, yeah, the history can tell you a lot about a property. Okay, and then the M is just a map. So if you want to pull up the property on a map, that's what the green M is. One thing about when you pull up a property on the map, you hit that green M. Give it a second to load here. It'll populate where this property is, right? If you zoom in, you can click on the property and it gives you lot dimensions.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to be able to pull that up right on a map of the property. Okay. You can even get driving directions to it or to several properties and stuff like that, which is fun too.
So what you're saying basically, if you dig, you can find whatever you want
Right.
on a piece of property. So,
At least as far as listing data.
yeah.
Like I said, if there had been an interfamily transfer or refinance, we're not going to have a record of that, but our PR will. So there's reasons to use each tool that you have access to.
So why you guys haven't started, integrating like Portland maps into your? Have you guys gotten questions about that?
There's been talks about it before, but I don't know how far they've gone or anything. That's a little bit above my expertise level and stuff. But I know they've talked about adding different layers and things.
For in terms of like zoning and the county,
Right.
For builders, it's a great resource.
Yeah.
Cool if it was integrated.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I know they're looking at adding additional map layers all the time too. 'Cause
Yeah.
we do have a new mapping system,
Really?
so they're working on improving that too. Which the new mapping system that we just introduced in July, we have full control over it. So if it's not doing what you want it to, or if you think it could be better, let us know what you'd like to see it do, because we are in charge of it now. Before we had a product we were purchasing from someone, but now we've built it ourselves, so we can make it do anything we really want it to.
One of my questions I wrote down was, where do I go find that we're talking about maps, so that's why I'm asking it now, is where do I go find a map of all the areas? Just have a map
Yes.
just somewhere that I can just print out? Or
So right on the
something?
sidebar under links, map areas.
Okay.
Now,
Thanks.
that's one option, and this is going to show you, you can either do individuals, and this is going to show you those area numbers, mostly. So you can click on that for Portland Metro, and it's going to show you the area numbers on a map.
Yeah. That's
And
what
you
I
can
was
even
looking
do the whole state. So you can do all of Oregon, and it's going to show you the areas for all the state.
Wow.
But some of these, like Multnomah and Washington and Clackamas counties, you have to go to the smaller map because there's too many for it to
for.
do.
Clackamas County is so huge. It's just
It is gigantic. Yep, and you can see even the Portland Metro goes all the way out here as far as what we include in that. And some of them, like Josephine County, they just joined us a couple years ago, so they have a lot of area numbers and stuff too. In the big metro areas, you're going to need to go check their individual
So how
maps.
often do you reevaluate the numbers that you have on these?
I don't think the area numbers have been changed since 1991.
That's a long time.
And maybe even before that, because
Have
they
they-
existed on printed out maps before that.
And that would take quite an undertaking to change it? Is that
Yes.
why they're not wanting to do it?
Yes, because they've been around so long.
What
Back
about-
when we printed books, these area
Yeah.
numbers existed.
What about, like, let's say Clackamas, I don't know what the number is,
Mhm.
4, I don't know, what is it?
140 or 142
Yeah.
or whatever it is, yeah.
Why can't they just
145
add like
or 146.
140A, 141A, 141B?
I mean,
Can't they just
There's
sort of...
potential, but I don't think we even set these originally. We're just using them, so
Right.
I don't even know. They're well before my time, and like I said, back when they were printing off stuff. So I don't know if we even have ability to change them, or if that's something that's done statewide or something like that. Yeah.
Because Clackamas is just growing like crazy, and
It
I'm
is.
sure Beaverton and some of these other areas
Mhm.
are too, and it doesn't make sense to like,
Right.
so...
Right. I did a class out in Bend, and their entire Deschutes County is one area number, and it's like,
That's-
well, that makes it difficult. Yeah. That's also not our primary service area either, but yeah. So, there are some maps there. One thing to note about these is you can't see the streets.
Yeah.
So if you need to know what the boundary between 150 and 151 is, for example, go to the second page and it lists the boundaries. So the southern boundary of 150 is going to be Highway 210. So what that's saying is if it's north of 210, it's in 150. If it's south of 210, it's in 151. So then you know what that boundary line is right there. Okay. So yeah, those maps are right here on the sidebar. You can also go Toolkit, All Documents, and look up any document in our system, including these maps. And one of the best ways to search when you're in there is the search bar up on top. And you can type lots of things in here. If you need a certain form, you can type it in there and it should pull up. You can type in, if you need help with something, like you're looking at abbreviations and you don't know what they mean, you can type the word abbreviations in here and it pulls you a list of documents. This listing abbreviations is 11 pages of every abbreviation that we use in the entire listing form. Or you can look up the property history, that's what we were looking at before, or what residential property types are. So there's lots of good documents in here for help too. Something else I wanted to show you, I'm going to go back here for just a second and go back to my search. I'm actually going to change area numbers here because I was in Vancouver yesterday, and so I want to switch from some Vancouver ones here to something more local for you guys. So let's switch to, or let's do Lake O.
Is this just dealing with properties that are listed? Can you get information on properties that aren't listed if you're starting to talk with people, to prepare for a presentation with them?
So right now you can only see things once they activate. I mean, you can pull up any property's data even if it's off the market. If it's been listed before, it'll be in our listed searches. You can look for previous sold records or expiry records. You can go look for anything. But for example, my grandparents' house, if I go do any of these top searches, it's not going to come up.
Right.
They've lived there 40 years. We have data going back to about 91, so there's not going to be any data in there.
Right.
But I can run a tax search on their address and pull up the public record of their house, because we have public records from all the counties.
And in fine, would you still get all that other information if there's liens and stuff on the property? Would that all?
Yeah, it should have any of the public record data for that property as well. Same with RPR. In fact, RPR is my favorite for off-market properties, because it even has an estimated value on every off-market property, and it's not like a public one like Zillow. The Zestimate on a property is a marketing tool. The idea is to get the seller excited to say, hey, the homeowner excited to say, wow, my house is worth this much, I'm going to call a realtor. That's the idea. Whoever's on the top of the page that paid to get on that Zillow page, I'm going to call that agent and get their, that's what Zillow is for.
Has Zillow been inside your home? No.
Right, I know, and it's like, oh, your home's worth this, and you're there. It's always 40,000 over what they could even properly expect. And it's a marketing tool. They're trying to get agents who've paid to get their names out there to say, call me, I'll sell your house for this much. RPR's estimates are for agents only. It actually does a CMA on every single property in the nation once a month. And goes, here's some recent comparables. It picks the comparables and it says, we think this home is worth this. It is making assumptions. It doesn't know conditions of the home, so it assumes average condition. But you can actually go in and give it additional information about the property and refine that RVM for your report so it shows a more accurate number.
Complex algorithm based on lots and lots of sales.
Right, but it's not a marketing tool. The public doesn't see it, and it should be more accurate because it's just for realtors. So every property, if I just click one of these and go to its RPR page, these ones are active, but even active ones have what they call an RVM or an AVM. This one's got an AVM, which is automated. It says this home's worth $347 in average condition. It's listed for $330. So you can see, and the reason this is off is probably because they only have 2 stars confidence, which means they probably weren't able to find enough comparables to give it a confident number, and that would make sense why that's off. You'll find ones that have a lot higher. Let me see if I can find one that has a higher, or it has an RVM. There we go. This one has an RVM. That's a realtor valuation model. That means they have very good confidence this is a good number. But notice it's still $10,000 over the list price. But there's always a range here because it doesn't know condition of the home.
This house must have no updates.
Right. If it has no updates, that price makes total sense. And if I look at the photos, yeah, it needs some work. I mean, it's fine, but it's not updated, right?
It's on the freeway.
Yeah. So there's some things like that that I may not know, so that could easily, but $10,000, I mean, that's not too bad for a guess, right?
Yeah, not in that price range. That's
right. And like I said, they'll always tell you how confident they are in this guess, 5-star being the most. The other one only had 2-star. Okay. So there's some cool tools there. and getting that public record data. It really just depends on what you want to use. One other thing that I want to show you while we're on a search results page anyway, when you're looking at your search results like this, sometimes you want a piece of information, but you don't want to have to click on every single one of these just to get it. So let's say your client's like really cares about style, but you don't want to search for just that style because they could miss a home that's perfect for them. It just doesn't happen to be the style they want. I know you guys want a contemporary, but if I only look for contemporaries, then we're going to miss out on a bunch of ones that you could afford that are good. They're just not the style you want. So instead of searching by that and only seeing things in that one style, you can add a column here that shows the style. Or any other type of field you want. So if there's something here, because we're showing you some things, how many photos, the property type, the address, what area it's in, beds, baths, square feet, price, but you can add columns and you can remove columns. So if I go up here, there's these views. I've got a lot of them because I do custom views all the time. You can click new up here to create a new view.
Oh,
So
I
you
like
hit that
this.
new button.
This is like Oracle.
And it's going to show you these columns here. So do I care how many photos are on the listing? No. So let me just pull the P section for photos out. Then I can go down here and I can go pick, for example, style. And I can grab that. Straight a little bit further down right there, style. I'm going to put that right after my square feet.
That's cool.
Or I can say, I really want to know the list date because I want to know how long it's been on the market. So I can just go grab list date and drag it up here and put it right after the MLS number. So I'll know exactly how long it's been on the market.
That's good.
There's tons of fields that you can add.
Wow.
So then I can give this a name. Let's call it Summa Class. Okay, save it. And that view will now be available anytime I do a search that's this type of search. So this search is now showing me the style for each property and the list date for each property, so I know exactly when it's been on the market. The reason it added this extra stuff down here is because there's a second page here called Detail, and it checks this Show Detail by default. You can turn that on or off, and that can show more information too. You can even get that to show a thumbnail and a map of the property. So if I save it with those features, you can see each listing can then have a little photo added with the map of where it is. Oh, I collapsed it by default. Whoops, let me turn that back on. Show as default, save. And now each listing is going to have those extra fields I wanted, and it's going to have the first picture of the map. And they're all still there, they're just they're differently viewed.
I like that view.
Then can I sort that by style if I want to
Sure.
focus in on that?
Click on style, it does it alphabetically.
Okay.
So one stories will come up first, but
All right.
So, just for any kind of searching, you can change that so that it
Yeah.
will come up with the image.
and you can make a view for each of your clients because you don't want to go into each one to look for that one feature they want. And like I said, you don't necessarily want to filter your search by that feature because that's their preference, but they're okay with something that doesn't have it, and you just want to know right off the top. Or when I was searching for homes for myself, I knew my wife and I needed to do FHA, but I was okay at looking at properties that weren't, because just because the agent didn't put it in as the terms doesn't mean it wouldn't qualify or that they'd accept an offer with FHA. The agent may not have just put it or something like that. So instead of filtering by only showing properties FHA, I added a custom column that said the terms, and then I knew right off the bat whether or not the agent had put that in.
Well, you could
and
always
stuff.
call to find out.
Exactly, and that's the thing. I don't want to rely on the agent having taken the time to select them all,
Right.
because it's possible that it does qualify, that they would accept an FHA offer, and they just didn't take the time to check that box. So I didn't want to filter by that because I'd be missing homes that were potentially good. I instead added a column, so I knew right off the bat, and when I called my agent, I could say, I'm a very particular client because I have access to the full database.
Right.
But you could set that up for your client so that instead of you filtering by that and missing properties, you could just know right off the bat. And then if it's one that's not FHA, you can call the agent and see why or whatever, right?
So that's done all in changing the way the view is.
Yes.
Done in edit.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
Okay.
And like I said, it's just a drop-down list. I can switch to any of my other views at any time. So I can switch to this one, hit show, and it's going to change to that one. And I can switch.
The
So
thing is, just for searching,
back to default.
if I just want to, do I have to create an actual view to get, to be able to do the edit? That's what I'm
Yes,
asking.
you have to create one
Okay,
first.
that's-
Yes, so you
that's
have to
what
do
I
the
wanted to
new
find
the
out.
first time.
Okay.
Yep. You won't have edit if it's not there, and it does remember the most recent view you were using. So if you were using a certain view and then you come back the next day and you do a search, it's going to be on the view you last
Okay.
used. So if you want to go back to default, you'll have to go select default and then hit show. But custom views I think are really helpful. Another option, some people get frustrated because they want to know more about this property, so they go and they click the agent full and you wait for it to load. Okay, this is not what I'm interested in, so they want to go back, so they hit the search results button, they wait for it to load. Oops, I got an error message, great, let me reload. So, you know, you're going back and forth and it can get frustrating. Why are you giving me errors? There we go. And so now you're like, okay, I viewed that first one, let me go view the second one. That's a lot of work just to get information on these. So we created another view called detail view, and you can switch to that. This puts each listing here on the left-hand column, and it opens the agent full right here. So then I can just click these and go straight through them without having to go forward and back and forward and back.
Oh, that's a lot better.
And you can even see the history or the text full, the photos. They have an agent unabbreviated. This spells out all the abbreviations. So if you're new to this stuff and you're like, what is WW-carp again? Why is there fish in this house? You can just switch to the agent unabbreviated, and you can see that's wall-to-wall carpet.
I was trying to figure out what DOM meant the other night.
Days on market.
Okay.
And there's also CDOM.
DOM.
There's CDOM as well, cumulative days on market. And there's a difference between those.
I just need to learn all the abbreviations.
Days on market is from list date until today. Cumulative days on market, if they took it off the market for less than 31 days and then it comes back on, it doesn't stop counting. So,
That's what you were saying.
right, her CDOM was not resetting, and so, because cumulative days on market takes into consideration gaps of less than 31 days. So, if I have a property for 90 days and then the listing gets canceled and you relist within 31 days, your days on market starts on 1 because it's your first day with that listing, but your CDOM starts at 91. It's got all my 90 days plus your day, because it's complete market time.
So 32
cumulative market
days,
time.
that's what you have to tell them. Well, we can take it off for 32 days.
If you want it to come up as brand new, 100% new, you have to wait until the 32nd day. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So there's some cool stuff there with that. And you still, like I said, you can still get to the history of the listings. And in fact, you can open the history and then jump between the histories, which is kind of cool. So different ways to view. If you switch to detail view, the next time you run a search, it'll be on detail view. It stays on the most recent one you use, so you'll have to remember to switch back and forth if you want to do that. Okay? Cool. Other things I wanted to show you, also on an agent full report. This is a fairly new feature, but every single listing now has an add to watch list button. So if there's a property that you need to keep an eye on, put it on your watch list. So you go into the listing, you click that add to watch list button, it'll then turn to a yellow button like this that says watching. Your watch list is under the prospecting menu. So you would go to prospecting watch list. And when you're in there, you can see the properties that you're following. And it will list them here for you, and you can even change what types of things alert you. The reason you add something to a watch list is anytime that listing has a change, it'll text or email you about that change.
Or your client, if you.
You. It'll send it to you. It'll always send it to your email or your phone number. It'll text it to you. You could forward it. Because it is a client-friendly thing, but it's always going to send it to you.
So you can't add additional emails to that and say I want this to be sent out to.
Not on the watch list. Prospecting is what you do to send listings for your clients. This is for you.
Okay.
So what this does is you can choose to turn this on or off, enabled or disabled. You can choose to receive text, email, or both. In order for us to text you, you have to have a text phone number in your user preferences. So you can hit the change button, or user preferences is either under the toolkit, or you can click on hello and go to your user preferences, and there's a field for a text phone number. That's the only thing we use that text number for is watch list. And if it's a listing that you're following, like this one, if the status changes, the area number, the price, or if they add an open house broker tour, you can check that box and you're going to get a text or email the moment they make that change. You can pick address, schools, legal description, occupied by map. I have that unchecked. I don't care if they change the address or remap the property. I don't want to get texts about that. But if they change the remarks, I want to know. Other major data changes is a lot of things. It's like changing the bedrooms or the bathrooms or like all these little details. It's too many things in my opinion. You're going to get a lot of emails because people go in and make changes. A lot of text.
Are those defaulted, just those two?
No, I pick them myself.
You have to pick them.
Yes.
Looks like they're just on mine, they're all selected.
Yeah, I think
So-
by default it selects all. And this is not individual per thing on your watch list, it's for everything on your watch list. It's all or nothing. So at this point, we've only had this feature for about 8 or 9 months, and so we're still playing with it. And then you can even pick, do I want to get texted anytime during the day or just during 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. So if they make a midnight change, you want to know at midnight, or are you okay with not knowing until 7 a.m.? That's really what that's telling you. And then the weird thing about watch listing you need to pay attention to, and that we've had some trouble with, if you're following a listing, it's going to notify you of any time the listing was changed. But once that listing sells, or if it's an off-market property, you can go to an old listing of something that sold a few years ago and add it to your watch list, but you're never going to get a notification. A sold listing doesn't change anymore. It's a completed record. The agent can't even make any changes to it at that point. So if I've got a property that's sold, I'm going to want to take it off my watch list, because that listing is never going to change. If you want to get notified of a property that's off the market that gets listed, you want to follow its tax record. You can see tax ID is one of my options here. And the tax records I'm following, if it gets listed with that tax ID number, I'll get a text message.
So you
Or
can
email.
watch a property by a tax ID, or you can watch a property by the MLS number.
Correct.
But those are the two ways you can watch.
Correct. So you get 2 options. You can follow a total of 50 properties. That's our max right now.
Okay.
And that's combined between the listings and the tax records. So what I'll say is, if it's off market, you want to follow the tax record, because your goal with that is to get notified if it gets listed. If you're following something that's on the market, you want to follow its listing number, because you want to know if any changes happen to the listing. So maybe you missed out on an offer on a property that just went pending, you can add that to your watch list, and if they change the status back to active because it doesn't go through, you get a text right away, and you can let your seller know, or your buyer know, and boom, get an offer in right as fast as you can. Or if you just want to keep an eye on a property that's just outside their price range, and if they make a price change, you get a text, you can add that property to your watch list. Or if you've got a client saying, if my neighbor's house ever comes on the market, I'm going to swoop that up in a second, add its tax ID to your watch list, and you'll get texted the moment it hits the market, should that happen. So you can do stuff like that with the watch list. Okay. When you get the notifications, there's a notifications tab here too. It tells you which listing and what changed. So this one had a price change and went pending. This one had a price change, went short sale pending, and then went withdrawn after that. Interesting. This one had an open house added, went active pending, and they changed a little bit of data. So you can see exactly what changed. It'll text you a report that you could forward if you want, or email you a report. It is a client report, not an agent report. Because you can forward it, we had to make sure it didn't have any sensitive information on it. So it's a client full report. But it's mobile friendly. It should be viewable very easily on your phone. Okay? Questions on the watch list? So for your clients, prospecting profiles is what you send up to send them listings that they might be interested in. So I'll show you that as well. When you go to prospecting profiles here, you're going to see a list here of property, or of my profiles that I have set up. So if you haven't set up a prospect profile, this is going to be blank on this page. But these are the ones I already have set up. So if you're going to set up a prospect profile for someone, you're just going to go up here and hit Add New Prospecting Profile right at the top. So you're going to click that button. It's going to take you straight to an advanced search. So now you're going to be able to put in their criteria. We use advanced search because clients are very specific. I need a 3-bed, 2-bath, it has to be on this many acres, and it has to have an ADU. And so you can't do that in a basic search, so we do advanced search. If you're unfamiliar with advanced search, you have to put in the blue things. So you have to put in property category, it defaults to residential. You have to put in status, that defaults to active and bumpable. So if you don't want bumpable properties with the contingency, you can drop those off if you want to by clicking on it.
So this is what Cheryl was talking about in our class about the engine that's always running for you. It's always, searching for homes for your clients.
Yeah.
For you.
What
So-
this actually does is once you put in all your criteria to set it up, it searches every hour, and if there's a new match, it emails them. So once an hour, it does a search.
Can you put more than one area in?
Yes, just comma separate them. Yep. Or you can select multiple from the list too. So I can go in here and say these areas and just hold shift and select, select those, hit OK, and it will put them. But it just comma separates them. So you can just comma separate. So put the area numbers in or draw a map, whichever is best for you. Some people like to draw a map range instead of picking one of our predefined areas. So if Clackamas area is too big for you, draw a shape on your own that fits better for you. So you can go down. One thing, notice it defaults by the airport. That's just because that's where we are, so it defaults there.
Like
But
you're
you-
special or something.
Yeah, I know, right? But you can just type in Clackamas up here, or you can type in an address or a zip code, or it recognizes neighborhood names.
Okay.
So you can type in Lentz, it'll center over Lentz. You can type in Raleigh Hills, it will center over Raleigh Hills. It does recognize those things. So then I can just hit Clackamas like I just did, and boom, I'm suddenly over Clackamas. I can zoom in, and I can make a shape that's appropriate for me. I'll do a little circle here. Draw, circle.
Yeah, I was in there playing around with that. I thought that circle thing was cool.
Yeah, and you can even move it like this, or you can make it bigger or smaller. And there's also like polygon. Polygon lets you do really specific area. It does a line, and every time you click, you can change direction. That way you can follow specific roads, so you're only looking in the areas your client says they want to see.
Oh, I think I like that polygon thing better.
Pretty cool.
It's your call. You can even make two shapes like this. So let's say my client is interested in that circle area, but they don't like the area up here. They think it's too busy. I'm going to make the shape a little different like that. This area is too busy for them. Well, I can create this second shape and exclude it. Now it's searching in the circle, but if it's in the red area, they won't show up in my search results.
Wow.
So then instead of trying to draw a polygon around an area, you can actually just do a big blanket rectangle or circle
And then exclude.
exclude some little
That's
areas
cool.
from that so they don't show up in your search results.
Wow.
When you hit finish, you're going to put in the rest of your criteria. There's the frequently used up here, which are like property type, price, beds, bathrooms. Something about bedrooms to note, we do bedrooms as fulls, decimal, partials. That confuses people because they go to look for a 2.5 bath and think 2.5 as a number would be 2.5. That's 2 and 5 half bath. That's not what you want. 2.1 is 2.5. So be aware of that. But I can do bedrooms, bathrooms, whatever I want.
So if there's 2 half baths, would it be 0.2 then?
Yeah, so if it was 1 and 2 half, it'd be 1.2. Yeah.
Gotcha.
One full, 2 partials. And we don't differentiate between a 3/4 or a half or anything. It's full or partial. So the way I like to think about it is 3 ways to get wet: bath, shower, bathtub, tub, shower, sink, toilet. If it's missing one of those 3, it's not a full. 3 ways to get wet. Yeah. So you draw your shape, or you pick your area number, you put in all your additional criteria here.
Terribly wrong.
So you can count here, and you can see how many properties match. I got 115 properties that match right now. I could search those 150 properties. Notice this too. In the map, it shows you where they are. And then these gray ones are in my excluded area, or they're outside my shape. But they match my criteria. They're in my price range. They have the same beds and baths. They just are outside my shape, or they're in my excluded shape. It looks like there's some blues in there, but you can actually zoom in and see they're not in the shape, just barely.
It looks like purple. to me, but-
Yeah, they're like blue dots, yeah.
That's why they're all against the edge.
Yeah. It just, when you zoom out, there's such big holes, they're big circles, so they kind of look like they're inside the shape, but they're not.
So once you get that done, then you have to.
So you could search, but I really don't care about what matches right now at this point. What I want to do is set it up to email them automatically. So you hit save as, you give it a name, so I can say Clackamas Homes for John or something like that. So I know what it's searching for and who it's for. Don't put any contact details for your client or their full name in here, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But the reason is actually because this is not necessarily private. Other agents can see the name of your profiles in some situations. So don't put John Smith 503. Another agent could see that and contact your client. So name it something that lets you know what it's searching for, because you can add the contact anonymously, so you know who it's for. This is not the who it's for line. I would say this is the what am I looking for. So I can say Clackamas Homes, not, or rural or something, because they didn't want to be in town. That way I know what it's searching. And the reason I said to block it is because there's something called reverse prospecting. Reverse prospecting is right here in the prospecting menu. And there's an option here to block reverse prospecting, but what reverse prospecting is if I have a listing, I can go put in the details of my listing in the reverse prospecting, and I'm going to pull up a list of agents who have active profiles that match my home's criteria. So if I have a 3-bed, 2-bath in Clackamas and you have an active search looking for that in prospecting, I can go into reverse prospecting, put in my 3-bed, 2-bath data, and if you have a search that matches, your name will pull up your contact details with this right here.
So why wouldn't it pull it up the first time anyway when they were doing it? Does it? I don't
Well,
understand that.
It's pulling up who's searching for that.
So it's bringing buyers to you.
Correct. The idea is I can then call you and say, hey, you have a search called Clackamas Homes that's looking for a house for one of your clients. I have a home. Has your client seen it? I can try to find a buyer by reaching out to the agent searching for that. If you don't want an agent to know you're searching for that, you can block reverse prospecting by putting a yes in here. That would block reverse prospecting. So then they wouldn't know you have a search that matches, even if they put in the exact criteria of what you're searching for. For me, I'm okay with a buyer's agent reaching out to me to help me sell my house. That's great.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of prospect profiles that are fake, that are just for me or for my mom, who's not actually a serious buyer, but she kind of likes to keep an eye on what's out there. I don't want to waste an agent's time to have them call me when there's not a real buyer attached to that search. So I block those ones. Yeah. But that's why I wanted to mention, don't put your client's contact details in your profile name, because they will see it if you don't block reverse prospecting. They'll see the name of your search. And that's so I can call you and say, you have a search called this. For that client, I have a house that would fit perfectly, and I can, in that way, when I call you, you're like, oh wow, you saw that in reverse prospecting, that's great. You know.
That kind of makes me wonder how many agents actually do that.
We warn everybody about this, that they could see the contact details if you put them in. And the reason you don't need to put their name or anything here is you're going to add a contact to this so we know who to email it to, and that's not going to be shared. So you'll know who it's for, because you're going to pick, that's the next step. You're going to say add a contact, and it's going to show a list of your existing contacts. These are in Toolkit Contact Manager. So you can go in and add your contacts here. This makes it easier to email listings to somebody because you don't have to type their email address every time. You can just click in their name from the list. So that's under our toolkit. It's called Contact Manager. But if it's a new client, instead of picking from this list here, I can just click the New button and then add their details right now. And if I do it that way, it actually saves them to my contact manager for me. So I don't need to go in and add them manually. Same is true when you do a CMA for somebody. It'll add them to your contact manager automatically when you attach their contact to, when you create their contact in the CMA. So I almost never go into contact manager to add people, because for buyers, you're just going to put them in as a prospect because they want the auto feed, and it will save them there. And for sellers, you're going to do a CMA from them, and it adds them to your contacts. So unless you have somebody you need to manually go add, you usually don't have to manage them from the contact manager. So I could either put in their information now. You'll want to put in their email address here so it can send them emails. And then there's an auto email to contact option right there. You want to check that box. Don't forget to check that box. And it does warn you a few things. So they could be sent multiple emails a day depending on the settings you choose. It can only send listings that are in some kind of active or under contract status. It can't send them, it can send solds, but it can't send canceled or expireds or things like that. It can only send them the top 100 matches. So if they've got a profile that's very broad and there's more than 100 matches every time it tries to send an email, they'll only see the first 100 of them. So you want to keep your searches tight enough that there's not more than 100 per email. But like I said, the searches every hour. It's pretty hard to get 100 in an hour. I don't know if there's any time that happens. Links to listings are only available for 30 days or 100 clicks, whichever comes first. So the link that we send them will work 100 times or for 30 days, and then it stops working. And then any properties currently on RMLS Web that match this profile are not included in the first email. So those 112 properties that already match, those do not send automatically. They matched before I set this up. I'm telling it starting now, anything that comes on, send out, or has a price change. But those 112 that already existed, I need to send those myself. Does that make sense? People call all the time, they're like, I set up this profile and it hasn't sent them anything yet. Well, nothing new has come on, and the properties that already match, you need to send once yourself, because it doesn't send the existing matches. Okay? Make sense? It's easy to do that too, I'll show you. And you're going to choose which days they want to get emails. Maybe they don't want to get bothered on the weekend. You can turn the weekend off, or you can turn it back on. And then you have two options for frequency, multiple per day or once per day. So our system starts searching at 5 a.m., searches every hour until 9 p.m. So if they've got a hot profile that lots of things are coming on the market, they can get an email once an hour from 5 to 9 every day. Okay? If they've got a slower profile, it doesn't send them if there's no matches. So if there's 4 hours during the day where there's no match, they won't get emails that hour. The other option is once per day. That does just one 5 a.m. run every day and sends them the new things since yesterday. Sometimes they won't get an email on a day. We have people call, I wanted daily emails and my client said they didn't get one yesterday. Well, nothing new came on within that day, so they didn't get an email. It only sends when there's matches, if that makes sense. You can choose to CC yourself if you want a copy of every email they get. You can do that, then you know how frequently they're going out. You can pick which type of report is included in the link. It defaults to the client short. The client short's basic. It's got the photos, some basic details. You might want to switch that to, say, the client full. Or, even better for me, I think, is the client unabbreviated. The unabbreviated report spells out all those listing abbreviations in plain English. And if you have a non-real estate savvy client, that can make their life a lot easier. We abbreviate for a reason, so it will print on one page. So the client unabbreviated will never print on one page, it runs off the edges. But they're usually not going to print the listings you send them, they're going to look at them on their computer. And so the unabbreviated is one of my favorite reports to send. You type in an email subject, this will be in the subject line of every email. New homes for you. And then you just save this. So there's 2 save buttons. This one saves the contact. This one saves the profile. So you click save. And now I've got this Clackamas Homes Rural. This is the person it's emailing. It has not sent any emails yet. So if I want to send the first wave of things that already match, you can hit the search button. Pull up those properties that already match. Here's these 112 of them or whatever there is. I can include more than 100 in a manual report, so it's 115. I can check them all, go up and pick a client report, and send these manually.
Wow, it's a lot to send.
Or if I want to call that out and say that's overwhelming, I only want to send the top 20.
You could go through and look through the best ones
Click
for
the
them.
ones I want.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep, but no, it doesn't send existing matches. That's the one thing I wanted to point out. People get confused by that all the time. If it already matched before you set it up, they're not going to get it in the email. Now, when they get the email, though, you can go to the history to look at the emails that it's sent out. Let me see if this one has any. Yeah, when they get the email, I can go view an old email. It includes 2 links. It says click here to see the newest matches. So if they click there, it's going to show just the things that are new since their last email. Or click here for everything that still matches. So they can click this second link and anything that's still on the market that matches, even if they've seen it previously, will be in there. So they can kind of go back to those old ones, but they kind of have to know that. So your client does have an option right from the email to opt out of these. So if they don't want to get emails from you anymore, they can click that button and it opts out for you, so you're not allowed to send that person emails anymore. So be aware of that. If they accidentally opt out by clicking that link, they get a confirmation email they can opt back in, or you can contact the help desk and we can assist you in getting them opted back in. We do need to hear from both the client and the agent that they want to reestablish that relationship, though, to prevent any harassment type situations. So we ask you usually to have the client email you from that email address saying, please turn these back on, and then you send that to us, and then we see confirmation from both parties.
You get a notification when that happens?
Yes, in fact, it'll flag it right on the prospecting profile. I don't know if I have any that are opted out. Let me see if I do. I don't. It'll say in big red letters right here on the emails line, client opted out. Yeah. So you'll know. And you can always go in here too, and let's say they're not getting enough emails and they want more, you can go into the criteria button and just change the search criteria. Or you can go in and you can add another contact. Maybe their wife wants to get the emails too. You can go in here and add a second contact and she'll get the emails as well. So it's easy to go in here and make changes to your prospect profiles. Okay? Questions on that process? Prospecting? It's kind of one of the bigger tools that people use. Cool. I think it's well worth your time. There's also something called hot sheets. Those are a little bit different. They're in the search menu. And there's hot sheet searches, that's a one-time search, or there's hot sheet profiles. A hot sheet is designed for an agent to get a better pulse of what's happening on their market that they're mostly working in. So if you had a client say, is there a lot of homes coming on in my area? You would know that right off the bat. Is there a lot of price changes? Is there a lot of homes coming back on the market? How many are selling? Things like that. Well, a hot sheet profile, you set up one time, just like a prospecting profile. This doesn't email you or anything. You have to come in here and check these. But if I add a new hot sheet search, what I can do is I can pick, let's say I want to see everything in the last 7 days that has come new on the market, come back on the market, had a price change, expired, any of these different things, a data change. On those price changes, you can choose they have to change by like $5,000 or $1,000 or more, because some people will change the price by like $1 a day or some ridiculous stuff like that. So you can eliminate those ones where they're doing that. I hate that. You can pick a whole MLS area or draw your own shape. And the idea is you can go in here in your profile and just run this every day, or have it auto run for you so you can regularly go check this and see in the last 7 days in this area of new listings. Here's all the new listings that have come on. There's a total of, if I go down, 65 new listings in the last week in this area. Back on markets, there's 14 properties that were off market and came back on market. Price changes, there's been 55 homes that have had a price change in the last week in this area, and 4 have expired. Now, you'll need to pay attention to some things. For example, these are new ones, meaning newly listed, but they were newly listed in the last week. Some of them may have already had offers like this one, so it doesn't mean it's still active. It just means it was newly listed in the last week. So this one already has an accepted offer within a week. And same with these like back on markets. Sure, it's come back on the market this week, but this one's already back off the market again. So you kind of got to pay attention to status, because it's just saying that it qualified within that week, but it doesn't mean it's still in that status. Especially on expired, you'll want to check that because they get relisted all the time. Okay.
So on the regular search that you would do, it doesn't actually tell you when it came on the market. This actually shows the new ones that are on the market.
Yeah, you can pick. I pick 7 days, but you can check just the same things in the last 3 days or last day. You can really set up your own hot sheets, so that way you can always go in and check kind of like the pulse of your area. Mm-hmm. If you're regularly working in an area, go highlight that area here, and you can daily go check this and say, what's happening in my market, so that you understand your market a little bit better. And you'll see things like more back on markets at certain times, or lots of price changes at some times, and you'll know, oh man, something's going on because I'm seeing more price changes than normal and stuff like that. So I can tell you some things about your area. Okay. Let's see, other things to show you. One other thing I wanted to mention, there are 2 apps that you have access to that can get market data when you're out and about. One of them is RPR's app. RPR Mobile is the name of it. RPR, like I said, is that Realtors Property Resource. You can see public record data, MLS data. Their app is awesome. You can open the app and it searches within half a mile of where you're standing and shows you how many properties are listed. You can click on any of those properties and it pulls up private remarks, showing instructions, all the details about that home right there on your phone. So if you're out with your client and they go, oh, what's that house right over there with a sign on it? You've never sent me that one. Oh, let me just pull out my app. Oh, it looks like it's about $30,000 out of your price range. That's why I've never sent it to you. But maybe we can negotiate something like that. Let me call the listing agent right here. It has a button you can click that calls them and set up a showing right now. And it has showing instructions right there in the app too. So it's really powerful to be able to do that on the fly, because right now, until we get our new mobile-friendly advanced search, which is coming later this year, it's not very easy to search nearby in RMLS. It's just not. So having an app like that can be really helpful. So that's RPR Mobile. It has everything you can do on RPR's website, including CMAs, property flyers you can generate, reports you can send to your clients. You can do all of that with the app as well. So it's a really powerful tool. And it has off-market data. You could pull up an off-market property, see its estimated value, who the homeowner is, if it's owner-occupied, all that type of data for an off-market property. It even shows things that you wouldn't ever know about from the MLS, like pre-foreclosures. I was looking at my house in RPR, and I was looking at the map, and it showed a little red dot on top of my neighbor's house, and I clicked on it. It has an auction date for pre-foreclosure, and that's public record, and RPR's pulling that data, so I know how much he owes and when the auction date was and all that stuff, because it's in pre-foreclosure. And that's not listed.
Yeah.
But I have that data because of RPR.
That's really great for people who are looking for auction properties.
Exactly. Being able to see those pre-foreclosures is pretty awesome.
Being on time to those.
It's an important thing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can see information like that. You can even filter by the pre-foreclosures and only see those. It's really cool. So that's RPR. Another app you have access to is HomeSpotter. HomeSpotter is a similar idea. Pulls our data. You can see market activity. You can see private remarks, showing instructions, things like that. The difference between the two apps, because people ask me all the time, which one should I use? It's really situational. They do very similar things. Both of them are pulling agent-only data and giving you access to it when you're out and about. RPR is way more robust. It has off-market data. You don't see that in HomeSpotter. HomeSpotter is actives, pendings, and recently solds. And that's about it. You can't pull an off-market property and see any information on it, really. HomeSpotter is a little bit of a faster app, though, because it's not this giant database. It's just, so I think the app actually behaves a little faster and things like that. It also gets updates faster. So the RPR's website gets our data every 15 minutes, but they use a third party to publish that data to the app, and that can take about 24 hours. So if you're looking at a property that looks active on RPR, there's potential that the agent made it pending last night and you don't know yet because the RPR app hasn't updated.
I learned that the hard way. Call the agent.
Please call the agent, especially if RPR is the only source for you looking up that property. You want to make sure it didn't just go pending. HomeSpotter pulls our data every 15 minutes and publishes it to their app immediately, so it's a lot more faster as far as updates. But you can't send a report to your client with HomeSpotter. There's no client communication at all. You can't see off-market data. Even RPR's website, when you look at a property on the app, it pulls that property up in your history on the website, so you can actually re-pull up that same property because it marks it with a little mobile icon saying, you saw this property on your mobile phone within the last 30 days. So RPR is a big, robust tool. HomeSpotter is a quick and stuff.
I did. I was doing it while you were
I bought my house with the RPR app. No joke. My wife and I were on the market for 3 months looking for a home. We couldn't find anything in our price range. We went to a showing we planned on seeing for like 3 days with our agent. We drove out to it. We hated everything about it. It was like the worst house ever. And we were really frustrated. I told my agent, okay, there's another house. It hit my profiles like a week ago. I haven't even had a chance to tell you about it. Is there any chance we can go see it tonight? He's like, well, we could try. Where is it? I'm like, I don't remember the address. And he's like, okay, do you have an idea where it is? And I had a ballpark. It's off Foster Road somewhere. And so we pulled up the RPR app, started searching around where I thought it was, clicked on a few properties, found it. It had bright blue siding. It was easy to notice. So we found it. It said vacant, show till 9 p.m. It was about 8:30, so we started driving over there. My agent was calling the listing agent just to make sure everything was good to show. 15 minutes later, we were in the house trying to figure out how to fill out an offer paperwork. Like, it was the perfect house for us. And my agent knew nothing about it 15 minutes before we walked into it.
Yeah.
So is this app available to anybody?
Nope. Agents only.
Agents only.
HomeSpotter is available for anybody,
But I
but
mean, look
to
at
see
what
all
you
of our
can
data,
pull
you
up.
have to be an agent.
It's scary how much information.
It's a lot.
I freaked out. My
Pull up
client.
your own house. It'll show you what your
Oh,
loan
oh,
amount
yeah.
was, all the document numbers, who
Your
the loan
name,
person.
huh? Pull up your house,
It'll
yeah.
have an estimated value for what your home is worth.
Which is usually really high.
Yeah, it's a little high, I think.
RPR mobile.
RPR Mobile. So both those apps are available to you. You can use both as you see fit. But like I said, right now, until we have our new mobile friendly advanced search, there's not an easy way to search nearby in RMLS. And having one of those two apps on your phone can really save your bacon when you're out there with a client and they pull some random property out of their hat that they've heard about, like I did to my realtor. But being able to pull it up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
See ya.
Easy to just pull up that data and get what you need and call the listing agent. There's even a button right on every single property on the map that says navigate to this property. You click that button, it opens your navigator and gives you turn-by-turn directions to that house. Like,
Wow.
it's like these tools are invaluable in my opinion. So I would download both apps and then decide which one you want to use in which situation. They're really so useful.
So which
But
one
like I
do
said,
you like
always
better?
verify status if RPR is your only source because it can be 24 hours behind. HomeSpotter is going to be a little quicker, about every 15 to 20 minutes they get updates. But I don't want you to walk into a pending house that you said was active, but it really was changed to pending yesterday and it hasn't updated yet. Cool?
Well, which one do you like is better? I mean, between
Like I said,
the
I
two?
think the HomeSpotter app is a little faster. Not just in how fast they get the status updates and price changes data and stuff like that, but the app runs a little smoother in my opinion. But if I want to walk into a house, read all about it, and then send my client a report that has all the data about that house, I can't do that with HomeSpotter, but I can do that with RPR.
This is the HomeSpotter Northwest MLS.
No, it's HomeSpotter. It's a black field with a red house on it. With a little
Oh, it is
kind
that one that says chat about homes?
Yeah, I think that's what it says.
Okay, because it looks like more of a social type
Yeah,
app.
so the app itself is supposed to allow you to chat with your client, but that's disabled in our region. The board did
Gotcha.
not approve an app you can talk to your client with. So
Wow.
So the Northwest MLS HomeSpotter
But it has
is a
old
different thing
pictures.
completely.
right, they build them for individual MLSs. So ours has got some features that
Yeah,
are blocked.
these are all the
Okay.
old pictures of this house. My house.
Yeah, it's pulling previous listing photos.
Oh, unbelievable.
It's cool. Does it say your home is worth as much as you think?
It says I thought it was only worth about $490. It's saying it's worth about $520.
There you go.
So I don't
And
know.
how confident is it? I don't know. Does it
gone
say?
up.
Where's the
It
confidence?
should hit RVM details.
Okay.
5-star confident, but they show a range of
Really?
478 to 561 depending on condition.
But they don't know the inside of my
Correct.
house either.
There's no
Yeah.
database for that, so they have to guess average
That's
condition.
true.
But Zillow is saying $490.
Gotcha. That's actually higher. Interesting.
Yeah.
So they do a CMA once a month too. So you can check that next month and you'll get a different number. Mine recently was 222 and it dropped to 217 this last month. Because just market's fluctuating, prices go down in the fall, and it seems to have affected my house a little bit. You know? Yeah.
My house in January has gone up $30K since.
Mine's gone up. We bought ours 2 years ago. We bought ours 2 years ago for 169, and now it's showing 220, 217 on that app. So it seems to be going up. Yeah.
You have a 3-bedroom ranch out there?
What?
3-bedroom ranch, I need it.
Oh yeah.
You know, we have the Suma app, so I'm asking you this, Tyler.
Yeah.
That's more for our clients. More
Yeah,
than
it's more for
anything.
clients. You can track what they're looking at. It makes you more in control of them. But I mean, these are all there. I mean, I use all kinds of apps too. I don't just use the Suma app. I use other ones too, depending on the situation.
I'm sure the Suma app is probably pulling from us every 15 minutes too. You guys
Yeah,
are probably paying
we're
for
just
a
a
data
subscriber
feed like
of
that.
the
Yeah,
MLS,
IDX,
so,
yeah.
with the IDX feed and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so, but you're using HomeSpotter sometimes, right?
For yourself.
Not,
or
I don't
anything?
not that particularly.
Yep.
You know, honestly, I don't use the mobile apps as much as I should, but I use do everything online. But yeah, I have basically like I'll show you what I have. I have under work, I have my Suma app, I have the Zillow app, the Truly app, the Premier Agent app, with my Century Smart, Realtor.com app, Tycor app, the Home Finder, Homes.com. I mean, I use all of them. It really depends on the situation. So I have my own little hub area for
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah, your little thing. I only have just one, 4 things in mine. So you're out there.
So one other thing to point out to you about those apps, both those apps, HomeSpotter and RPR, both work with CentrusSmart. And what I mean by that is when you go into CentrusSmart and you get into a property, so I'm just going to put in my lockbox serial number and pretend I'm getting in my property here, okay? So I'm walk up to a lockbox, I click it from the list, or I put in my serial number. When you get to the page with the 8-digit number, right, and if it's an older box or if it's a Bluetooth box, it just opens. But you walk up to the lockbox, you get the code, you type it in, it opens the compartment, right? You get the keys out. What a lot of us do then is we just put our phone away. But on this page, there's a done button. So once you've got the keys out, click the done button. It'll pop up a message that says, do you want to open this property in RPR or HomeSpotter?
Oh my goodness.
You then pick the one you want and hit view property details. So I picked HomeSpotter this time.
But you have to
And it
have
will
both
take
of
you
them.
from this. You just download the one you want. You don't have to be using both. You just pick which one. And